a typical American 18-year-old does not know what the fuck they want.
Right.
There's no. I mean, I was lucky.
Nobody really knows what they want at 18, unless you're some Mozart type of talent, and you just had the vision early on. But who has that?
And so it would be nice if there was some gap years in there where kids could just go, basically fuck around somewhere away from their parents to figure out who they are and figure out what they want to do. Because what happens a lot of times.
Well, we have that in the United States, Perry. It's called prison. See, we put you in.
Or rehab.
Bust you on a rehab. So what's your problem there? It's the American way. You go, you do a little drugs, you get caught, you do a couple years in prison, then you come back out. Or rehab. It all works out. At the end of the day,
it's kind of shock therapy. And then you
say, hey, you think America's bad? Try prison for a while.
You enroll in college and get a business degree, and you're off to the races.
Yeah, deep in debt to live your life until you're waiting for Michael to
working for an insurance company,
bite the thing and take over the house, aren't you? It's pretty much.
That's exactly
what's happening here.
Leave your wannabe rock star at the door. It's time for Carl and Mike.
Top 5 SNL skits.
I'd say top 5.
What's the top 5 SNL?
Sweaty Balls.
Sweaty Balls has got to be in the top
Absolutely.
5. Yeah.
Dick in the Box.
Dick in the Box is damn good.
That's also top in the 5.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to Carl and Mike.
Yeah.
Threesomes.
Yeah.
Episode 1.
Yeah, this is the first one.
Yes, we have a guest. Would you like to introduce this fine young man, Michael?
His name is Perry.
Perry.
Yes.
What would his last name be?
Morris.
So I have 2 of you to deal with.
This is the spawn of my loins.
Wow.
You might regret this later, Carl.
I'm really already.
We're actually quite similar.
Well, no.
Not only in beardedness, but
in humor.
In humor, yeah.
And speaking of beard, you know how I was telling you that my mom.
Thank you very much.
That my mom doesn't like this beard.
Yeah.
When she sees him for the first time, she comes up and grabs his face and go, "I love your beard." And I'm sitting there looking at her across the deal. I'm going, "What the fuck?"
It's a grandchild thing. He really can do no wrong.
Oh, he can do wrong.
With the grandmother?
Can't do wrong. Never have, never will.
Yeah. I don't think he...
Well, see, now that could change because there's a great-grandson. So if the great-grandson, he's the new apple of the eye.
That's true.
I'm now less than. I've lost my status.
The tarnish is off a little bit.
Oh, it does go down.
Does it really?
If I called
great-grandchild?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
That wins. That trumps.
There you have
it. If I called and was like, "Hey, Mimi, for Thanksgiving, I would really love, what was it, Mama Kate's cherry cream pie." Mm-hmm. And then Simon called her the next day. He's like, "Actually, I really want brownies with walnuts on top. I'm pretty damn sure we'd have brownies with walnuts on top." She'd be like, "Tough shit, you're."
Well, I'm just speaking for myself. I mean, I'm more concerned about my grandson than I am about him. I don't give a shit.
I'm a survivor now. I've been through it all.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So the tarnish is really off.
Mm-hmm. I've lived through the shit, man.
The lost child.
Been through the shit.
Perry Morris, the lost child.
The lost child.
Wandering the streets of L.A., trying to find his way in life.
Yeah. And you Ubering about.
Ubering.
Yeah,
this is a verb now.
No, absolutely, it's a verb.
You got to talk about Uber some. I mean, we don't get a chance. I mean, Uber's kind of a cool thing. I mean, to us I still haven't Ubered.
No, there's a dark side. No, but there's a dark side of Uber coming out.
To all of you in the flyover states, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I have not Ubered.
I mean, in Dallas, I don't think there's really. I think the only time that would actually be good is maybe like a run to the airport.
Yeah.
If you needed,
Yes, I have done that.
Or if you're drinking late at night down on Greenville and you need to get back home, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it would also. I don't know what it costs down here. I'm pretty sure it's a little bit more expensive than it is in LA. LA and Lyft, or Uber and Lyft in LA have been in like a price war since.
Oh, really?
They both came about.
So how cheaper is Uber compared to taxis?
Well, initially when they started, their idea was to like just undercut taxis so everybody would use the service. Plus, it's easier to hail on, when everybody's got an iPhone or whatever.
It's just that much faster.
Right.
You get somebody within minutes.
Oh, yeah. And you call a taxi company, it can take you 20 minutes to get a cab, and then maybe no cabbie wants to take it because they're like, "Oh, I need to go from here to there," and it's going to be only like an $8 fee for them. So they're like, "Well, I don't want to fucking do that."
Right.
So Uber was created to basically fill in that gap, and so I think conceptually it's really smart what they did, and the service is really cool. The idea of it is really cool, But at this point, like the price wars have gone. I think, for example, like right now in LA, it's a $4 minimum fee, and it's 83 cents a mile after that. Time doesn't really come into consideration that much. So traffic, like
traffic
cab,
would be a problem.
Yeah, you sit in a bunch of traffic. It takes you an hour to get somewhere. You're getting paid for that time. Whereas Uber, it doesn't account for as much of the fee as like it would with the cab. But you know, I think initially when they started up, it was like $1.80. Don't quote me on this. It's like $1.80 a mile or something after like a $6 or $7, you know, minimum fee. And so drivers were making a lot of money. They were making like $1,000 a week, driving like kind of normal, like
Really?
8 hours of workday.
$1,000 a week?
Yeah, like good money. You can't.
That's really good money.
Yeah, I haven't made that kind of money ever. You know,
Around 8 hours a day.
Yeah, but the fees have dropped, right?
The fees have dropped, so now nobody's making that kind of money. And I only know that
So
because
what would you be making now in Uber?
now it's a $4 minimum fare. Plus, I think 83 cents a mile.
Yeah, but I mean, so if you were making 1,000, what would you be making now? 700.
No, probably, maybe if you're lucky, 600.
So almost 50% drop.
Yeah, it's a significant drop. Plus, they take 20% of your fees as a driver, and you got to pay for your own gas. So if you got a Prius,
And wear and tear on the car.
yeah. So it's
Yeah,
not.
I'm liking this less and less.
Yeah, it's
I'm
a
not going
really
to ride
good.
around all week
That's
for
a good way to
$600.
supplement income.
Yeah.
Whip out your app and show Carl see if there's anybody right around us right now.
Oh,
There's not much traffic today, so I'm going to say no.
No, we were at the house the other day and he whipped it out, and there were 3 cars within literally 2 minutes.
2
of
minutes.
us.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and so it's
So as long as you got it on, you turn it on.
so and from that respect, it's better, and I think probably people like it better because they've got somebody. You don't know what you're going to get when you call a taxi. You pretty much know what you're going to get. You're going to get some radio.
So you like the fact that you're not
Yeah.
That
getting
shows you all the
anything.
cars in the area.
All right. So there's one over there about 5 miles away and 2 minutes away. Yeah. That's pretty wild.
No.
I have not done Uber, though I should think about it, because the cost, like we have 2 cars, okay, because there's 2 adults driving, but we both work from home. So usually, like right now, both cars are in use, but that's rare that both
Yeah.
cars are in use.
Yeah.
So I could ditch one car and really Uber the other one, and probably would save money on the insurance, wear and tear in the car.
It's probably not going to hurt to just try Uber and see how you like it. I mean,
So there could be a stupid tax thing here.
Well, it could be a stupid
Possibly,
tax.
yeah.
It makes. Well, it could be that Uber's the stupid tax, or it could be that the car is the stupid tax. It could
Right.
be getting
I think for my case-
the gas and the insurance.
My case,
If you have the car and you Uber, that's the stupid tax.
yes, that would be really stupid.
That was like
Yeah.
beyond stupid tax.
I think actually it might be cheaper. We don't really drive, both of us gone. Though, how do women feel about getting in the car with a man that they don't know?
I don't know. Well, tell them about how that all works.
Because I think there's
with
some.
faces and stuff.
I don't know if Suzanne would have a problem with it. Well, maybe not. She never thought about a taxi before.
I mean, there's been cases around the world of male drivers like abducting women passengers. I think so far there's like 5 cases around the world.
Oh, well, that's not bad. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah, it's
but
terrible, but like
numbers
considering-
wise,
Y'all get some
numbers-wise.
alert when that happens.
No.
Really?
But
now there's an app. Why don't they have an app for a woman alert where she felt like she was in? Well, I guess you got to go find the app. It really wouldn't work.
no.
Yeah.
But I think
Trying to come up with that $1 million idea.
Yeah, that's one of those things. That's one of those
if you
things.
keep trying,
that's
it's going to come.
Rape alert,
Yeah.
Would have to be on your home screen almost.
Yeah.
Triple touch ID or something.
Yeah,
I
while
don't
the
know.
rape's going on, you're scrolling through.
But that's
looking
really-
for your app.
Yeah, excuse me, hold on
Now
here.
that's excuse me, I'm going to
Wait,
get my
damn it,
rape
where's
app.
it?
Can you hold back on that for just a minute? Let me pop the rape app up.
Yeah.
You know, it's starting to sound like rape kits now.
Yeah.
All right. Let's veer.
Oh,
away.
wait. How about Siri with a secret word?
Siri with a secret word.
There you go.
Yeah, well, you should.
That'd be rape. Would be the word.
Yeah, well, and with Siri,
Lucas.
and with Siri, it would probably come out great nuts. You'd be going, what the hell?
You're right. So there goes that. All right.
But no,
All right.
I think honestly, for the most part, like the record is good for Uber for that.
Yeah.
And like I've definitely had some first time ride. Like I think women my generation, they just don't think twice, and younger they don't think twice. They'll just hop in a car like whatever this thing is proven itself to be. I'd say overwhelmingly safe for for women,
Yeah.
And but for older women, I'd say maybe like 40, 50 plus, they're very hesitant. Because I've had some women that they were first-time riders, and they're like, they just look, deer in the headlights and stuff like that. It's all right, this is how this works. I'm going to get you to your place. You can sit in the front seat. You can sit in the back seat. It's whatever. We can talk. I'm sociable. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You can play.
So you kind of help.
So you
help try to.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, how do they generally calm down?
Yeah, then they calm down. They're like, oh, this guy seems pretty cool.
See, now that's the difference between Uber and a taxi.
What's that? That you have a conversation?
Kind of a conversation like that. For the most part, a taxi driver's going to, he's going to...
I've had nice taxi drivers.
Really?
Yeah. Conversational. It depends.
The difference has been, in the beginning, is that the drivers that were using, or that were driving for Uber, were overwhelmingly guys that would probably not normally be taxi cab drivers, because to become an actual taxi cab driver is an enormous undertaking of regulations. And
I heard in New York it was $1 million to get a medallion, which I find hard to believe.
I don't actually find that hard to believe. The reason I don't is because this guy was telling me there's this Russian guy I picked up the other day that I think the scam that it's not a scam, but he and his son have a limo business, which means they operate commercially licensed and registered cars. And they rent those. And how, like, if you drive like a Lincoln Town car that's got numbers on the back, or a license or something like that, they are renting those cars weekly for anywhere from $300 to $900 a week. It's kind of like the same thing as like when you go to a really nice high-end salon to get your hair done. The person that's cutting your hair is not an employee of the salon. They're working freelance for the most part, and they're paying to rent that chair weekly. I know in LA, like a chair is like $400 to $600 depending on where it is a week. And so those drivers do that, and the guys that do that, they're driving insane hours.
Yeah.
And most of the guys that have traditionally been in those businesses, commercial drivers and taxi cab drivers, have been immigrants, right?
Yeah.
Except for New York City, because those guys make such an insane amount of money that being a cabbie in New York.
Really?
Oh yeah, I remember talking to a guy. He's like, yeah, I pull in easily $200,000 a year, and he's like, I got a condo in Florida that's my full-time residence, and I live with my mom when I'm up here in her house.
Is that New York cabbie makes $200,000 a year?
At this point in time, yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure they're hurting now because Uber is now in New York City, but I don't know. So it's weird. So this is like guys like any of us that is like, yeah, I want to make some money on the side.
Right.
And I got a car, and it fits it's got to be a 2006.
With a GPS, a car, and a... Why couldn't you? Why is it so difficult?
Yeah, pretty much. And that's what they wanted to do is like you already have it's crowdsourcing. It's like an Airbnb but for your car. It's like, I got this thing. It cost me a lot of money. I might as well make it work for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that was the idea behind it. But, Uber as an organization.
The sharing economy.
Yeah, basically. It's kind of an extension.
What else could we share?
Lawnmowers
and tools.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of shit that we ought to be able to do that. I mean, it makes sense to do that. That's why the Airbnb thing.
So we could have we could have an app, and you would put your tools as something in there like that, where you have a bunch of tools, like you have a bunch of tools. Yeah, I have no tools.
Right.
But let's say I needed a
hacksaw.
Thank you, a hacksaw.
Yeah.
I could pull my little Uber type app up, and Mike has a hacksaw, and you would rent it to me for $1.50.
Use a hacksaw because you don't even know how to use a hacksaw.
Well, there's the liability there. If I cut my finger off with the hacksaw, can I turn around and sue you?
Whoever's the keeper of the shed.
So you're saying don't do it with power tools?
That's the interesting thing with Uber is there's already starting to be a fight when there's an accident. With that many drivers working, there's bound to be accidents.
Sure.
There's no way you can avoid that, right?
Right.
And so who's
responsible?
liable?
They're always going to go where the money is, so they're going after Uber.
Right, but Uber basically has set up their insurance. Like, I don't pay any more insurance on my car than normal personal.
And I wonder how long that'll last before the insurance company jumps in here and says,
I don't know.
hey.
I think my insurance is definitely going to go up soon because my mileage has gone through the roof. Because I'm driving. I mean, I can easily put 200 miles driving in LA in a shift. That's not uncommon,
Yeah.
if I'm driving like 8-9 hours and like really where I'm making
That's
money.
quadrupling the miles that you put on a car normally. I mean, most people, well, in Los Angeles it's going to be more, but most people put on about 1,000 a month.
Right.
And so if you're all of a sudden bumping to 4,000 a month, and see that's Uber cost shifting is what it amounts to.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to pay for it. They don't have to pay for upkeep on those cars. What they've done is
offloaded that.
I think they've gotten
They've
a little
offloaded the insurance. They've offloaded
Right.
the maintenance costs on cars. And I mean, it's a good idea, but at some point,
The liability thing is going to catch up to them, and the
here's
fight with the unions.
Here's what's going to catch up to them. Driverless cars is going to catch up to them. This is a
Believe me,
business
I think
model
they're
that
on
has
top of
no
that.
more than 10 years.
Go on top of that.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have an Uberless, driverless car?
But see, well, Uber's not going to want to do
wouldn't you?
that because
then
they're
they
going to
keep
have
all the
to.
money. Then what you're doing is
Well,
getting
no,
rid of
they're
the
not.
No, they'd have to buy the...
They'd have to buy the cars.
They'd have to buy the
technology.
cars.
They're not.
Yeah.
That's why they wouldn't do it.
They wouldn't do
Because
it.
It's too much overhead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
At that
how
point,
does...
they might as well get into like the Elon Musk, light rail business or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that business model is going to be short-lived in terms of... Well, they got another 10 years.
Yeah.
But the
Well,
driverless cars are coming.
They're going to own the business long enough to build it up and sell it to somebody and become the.
Well, no, they're going to
latest
expand into other
billionaire.
areas. And if they're smart, their model shouldn't be cars. Their model should be sharing economy. So if the tool thing ever does happen, it should happen through Uber. If they were smart, that would be their business
They're
model.
already branching out a little bit. They have. Remember, I got an email for a pilot program in LA, and it's like Uber lunches, basically. And the hours would be like, for the drivers, would be like, oh, we'll give you $15 an hour, consistent money, between like 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. to deliver lunches around town, and especially downtown in LA. And then you'd make, and they have a kitchen, I think, that's staffed and is making these lunches, and they have a menu.
Uber's got the
I
kitchen?
think that's what the deal was, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you
I don't
have
know.
it.
I'm trying to do it as little as possible at this point in time.
So we're here with Perry Morris, son of Michael Morris,
Resident of the left coast.
Yeah.
talking about Uber and other things. So Perry, is what else are you doing? You're drumming. You're drum teaching.
Yeah, I'm teaching some right now at a little mom and pop kind of school, and I'm Ubering, and I'm playing gigs at churches across the greater Los Angeles area.
You're kind of
playing hotels.
quilting together, if you will, a career. It's a patch.
That's such a kind way to put it, Carl. Quilting.
Yes, quilting is
Quilting my monthly nut together. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Oh, that's being very creative.
It's a crazy
Well, as opposed to working in a cubicle all day.
Yeah.
Though sometimes it does look very nice,
Yes,
because for pretty much the whole time I've been in LA, I've been completely cash strapped.
you're always worried about the next. Well, how old are
Yeah,
you now?
I'm 28.
Yeah.
The last week of every month is oh fuck, where's rent going to come from? You
the
know
joy.
what I mean?
Yeah, I remember those
Yeah,
days.
because the second week
Yeah.
of every month is oh fuck, where's this enormous loan payment coming from? You know, and I got to get gas.
The loan payment,
Oh yeah.
college.
Yeah.
He got caught in that one, did he?
Oh, he did get
Oh.
caught. And
That
all
is
his friends
kind of unique
got
to your
caught.
generation. A little George was that? Who,
We all
who
got
started
caught in it.
that?
Hell, I got caught. We got caught in it too. That
I
ramped
did.
up real fast.
But I had a very low percentage, and they didn't even try to get. I didn't actually. They because I moved so often, they didn't find me
So
until.
what's the interest rate on your
Wow.
loan? What's the interest rate on
Yeah,
your
mine was 7%. I think.
7%. That's a lot higher than mine.
College
But I think
loan?
the dollar amount on mine is a lot higher. Plus the stipulations of my loans. The loans that my generation has are a lot different, because I want to say
They try and
the initial deregulation of, it was basically like, what's it called when you live in a place and the rent can't go up, but
Rent
X
control.
percent. Yeah, it's like rent control. There's tuition controls across the board for
yeah,
private
they were
schools and
regulated.
state schools.
It was regulated.
I want to say it was Bush deregulated that uptick percentage.
Right.
And so everything shot up almost overnight. And then while I was in school, it shot up even more and more and more and more and more. And so what happened is then, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and then a lot of other private,
Right.
loan entities came in and said, oh, well, it's really expensive, but, you should go to the school of your dream because that's what you have to do. And that's, every good American boy and girl needs to, the American
College.
dream, you
Have
got
that
to
college
graduate
education.
school and you got to go to college. And
You really don't.
And you got it. No, you don't.
We
And I
talked
know
about
that now. And I'm.
You missed episode 3.
Well,
see?
and
Fuck,
unfortunately, we as parents were the primary cheerleaders for that whole
You
thing.
were.
No, I'm serious.
I
we were.
agree.
I mean, that's what we grew up. Our parents. If they went to college at all, they were the first ones off the farm to do it.
Right.
And so
Talking to
and-
Mimi
and that
last
was a
night
big
about
deal.
how much rent she paid in Jackson, Mississippi when she was going to school, $25 a month.
Yeah, but that's Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah, you'd have to pay me to live in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what happened is you deregulated this stuff. These loan companies, came in and they were really just had all the students in their best interest, like they always do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
And they came in
because they're loving. They're loving institutions.
So kind, caring, much like Big Brother.
Mm-hmm.
And they came in and they said, "Oh, we'll fill the void," And so they made these loans so easy, and all I had to do was like, "Oh yeah, just get a cosigner." Anyone in my generation, you got to get a fucking cosigner to buy a bicycle these days. You got to get a cosigner to do anything.
And
Really?
cosigners would be us.
Like good luck
Because we
finding
really wanted,
good luck finding your
for
first
kids
apartment
to be-
anywhere in the United States without having a cosigner.
Get out.
I'm dead serious.
You have to co-sign to get your apartment? Usually you have to pay the first month and last month rent.
No,
That should do
You
it.
got to do that
in-
too.
in college.
And then you pay your cosigner.
In college,
and you get a
there's
cosigner
lot
to
of
sign.
time-
It's apartment. You're not buying the house.
It doesn't matter.
They want to know that they get paid.
Really?
They want a
I'd have
responsible
been in trouble.
financial person, and they think
What
that
if you
that's a
don't- what if
parent
you're-
that's going to do
right.
that, and the parents are going to go, "Well, okay, if that's what we need, it's what we need to do.
Well,
We'll do it."
Yeah.
And
That's kind of also fostering that helicopter parent thing. Still in your lives, they're co-signing everything for you.
nobody thinks about that shit. It's just something, just
A lot of
to
that's
get it going,
shame.
just to get it going. It's
Wow.
kind of the
I think I would be hard pressed even today with a renter's record of a few years in 3 different major U.S. cities paying rent. I would still, if I went to get a new lease somewhere, I would probably have to call mom and dad and be like, "Would y'all please sign this so I can get a fucking apartment?" I'm 28 years old.
And we
Really?
would say no, probably.
Yeah, I know you would. That's why I have to, That's why I live in dark, dingy spaces with cockroaches and crickets and shit.
Oh, yeah.
No, but anyway, so what happened with the loans is, so then I get up there and I take out a loan, and I got a really good scholarship to go to my school. So I got 10 from the school. Mom and Dad took out 10, and I took out 10 because the school was $30 a year. And telling a kid that they need to go to college if they're an artist or an artist in training, if they really want to do it, if they know that that's what they want to do, they should just fucking do it.
Right.
Move to, like, if you're a musician, it's a social art, so you have to be in a big city where if you really want to make it big and climb that ladder as high as you can, you got to go to Nashville, New York, or LA, or maybe in Austin or Chicago, but there's really no way around that. Right, unless you're like a complete solo artist and like a one-man band, triangle between your knees and that kind of stuff.
Don't you just need a YouTube account and a couple of instruments and go
Yeah.
to Justin Bieber?
Well,
approach?
yeah, but eventually that Canadian kid, where's he go? He comes to LA.
Yeah.
So eventually it's going to happen. But, for any young person that's any kind of artistically inclined that gets out with, I think it was all told for me, $40,000. Y'all had $40,000, and the school ate $40,000. Like, that is completely I don't want to sound like a punk. It's like, isn't that fair? Isn't that fair? But it is a completely unfair shake. There's been no generation that has had that kind of financial baggage.
No.
You seem a little bitter about it, Perry.
Oh, I'm very bitter about it. I'm less bitter now than I was. I'm telling you.
So you feel like that your generation
we got fucked.
got fucked,
Yeah.
and you're all
And it's not
struggling
just-
to get
and it's
yourself
not
out
just-
of
and it's
from
not
under
just,
it.
Magicians.
Artists.
We can be musicians.
But it's like I read something the other day. The number of people that are enrolled in law schools is way the fuck down.
Yeah,
It
well,
was
thank
50,
God.
50 some odd thousand
Amen. I've
nationwide.
had enough lawyers.
And it's down to he's got that Shakespeare thing going.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And it's down to in the 30s, upper 30s. That's a huge drop. And
Well, the
and a lot of
cost,
that-
you think that's the
well,
reason?
A lot of it has to be the
Loans.
cost, and a lot of the stuff is
Loans, yeah.
a lot of the research and stuff. Now, I love this. A lot of the research that was being done by legal legal people, going through books. That's being offshore.
Yeah, it's actually
They
backwards.
got Rajiv
Right.
over in Mumbai.
That's the
looking
ones that
this
are
stuff up.
footing the bill.
Oh yeah. And so a lot of these guys, and that's fine. That's a great thing for them. They're getting that. But a lot of the stuff that used to be offshore that was, smaller things are now going in.
There's a country, I forget which one I read. There's more than one that pays for the college education of their citizens because they feel that's an investment that's going to pay back in the economy of their society. Because the more educated
That
citizens,
sounds like Norwegian.
it's kind of Norwegian. It's one of those.
Yeah.
I know Denmark does it.
Anybody
Or Denmark,
that's blonde.
but that makes
Holland.
sense to me.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Why wouldn't Why wouldn't you? So we got it backwards. We're actually loading them down with debt to get an education, which keeps.
What's going to happen with the millennial generation, my generation, what is happening is, I'm 28.
Right.
Typically, when you look back at the history of the U.S., especially post World War II, when they're in their mid-20s, they're like they're settling down with someone.
Right.
They're probably buying their first car. They get a loan for that car. They build up credit. Then they hit maybe 30. They already got a couple kids, and they're like, "Oh, it's time we need that house." And then they get a mortgage on a small house, or something like that. But that shit's not happening for my generation because we're loaded down with debt, and not only we're loaded down with debt, but we're loaded down with debt that's federally insured, which means we can't go
get out of
bankrupt on it.
Right.
And which means, if anything, if I default, I've already defaulted on my loans one time. If I default on them again, they'll go through the IRS and they'll come back and they'll start ciphering my wages.
Yeah. Wow.
It's gulag shit, man.
So that's where we are at on that.
But Perry's got. But there's different workarounds. He's got one friend that got a medical degree in Cuba.
Yeah, there was a girl that I went to high school with, and
which is kind of interesting.
So you went to Cuba to get the free education, or with lower priced education?
Free.
I mean, it's
okay. So after Katrina happened, Fidel Castro was the first person to reach out to the United States to offer aid in form of doctors, because that Katrina was supposed to hit Cuba really hard. And he was gearing up for it, and he's always ready. He's because of the Army and how their system works, they've always got medical personnel. They have the most medical personnel in Africa treating Ebola patients.
Didn't know that about Cuba.
Yeah. And so anyway, so Fidel, got through whatever diplomatic channels they had. They offered, I'll send you a couple hundred doctors to help out in the New Orleans area and on the Gulf Coast, all that kind of stuff. Of course, Bush said, and everybody in the government was like, no, we don't need the Cubans' help.
We don't need
commies.
That's right.
Those people.
Don't need those commies.
And so what happened is after that, and because of how ravaged a lot of the Caribbean was of that year of hurricanes, particularly, he set up a medical school that was free for anybody that would come to Cuba from any part of the world. It was free. And if you could come there and learn Spanish, I think it's like a 6-month, brace yourself course for Cuban Spanish, which is very different than a lot of Spanishes.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. And then you could go to medical school for the full, I guess it's a 4-year program. Yeah, however many years, 3-4 years. And then when you graduate, the only stipulations for going to that school is when you're finished, after you graduate, you go back to your home, wherever that is, and you work for an impoverished community for 5 years. And so I believe at this point in time...
Peace Corps kind of thing, almost.
Exactly. It's like a medical Peace Corps, which I think is kind of great.
Yeah, I don't mind that idea. If we give you free education and you do some service for your country.
I think it's awesome. I think like a type of conscription for the United States that was like a year or two, where it's like you're after...
So we'll give you education. That's the trade-off. We'll give you education. You're going to give us 2 years of labor.
Yeah.
And you're either going to be firemen handling the forest fires up in Northwest, or you're
or
you read to
building a road.
There's nothing wrong.
You know what I mean?
Just think of everybody. We all benefit.
That would be called a progressive idea. We're not quite. We're not there yet on progressive. Yeah,
but that would be great.
And I would recommend in your proposal to keep the word Fidel out. Really, not going to go anywhere.
And any reference
on any kind of Fidel would not go well.
But I mean, that would be great because I remember, when I was at school, I think Berkeley at the time was like one of the highest percentages of student population that was not from the United States. So I remember particularly, I had a lot of Israeli friends. When they finish school at 18, they go into the forces. They
have a couple years
conscription, and I think it's 2 or 3 years. I forget which, depending on they specialize in something.
All right, maybe.
But anyway, so they do their years of the service, and then they get out and they got money saved up. And their version of the Army is pretty different than ours in the sense that Monday through Friday you're on base, Saturday, Sunday you go home to mama, you eat, you go back. So it's pretty different.
It's kind of like a job.
Yeah, exactly. So they do that, and then when they get out, they have money. So then a lot of them, they'll travel to India or they travel to Europe or they come to America and they work in Breckenridge or Vail or something like that for a couple of years. And then after a couple of years of fucking around, they figure out, they're like, you know what? I really like skiing. I want to become an engineer so I can design better skis, or something like that.
Right.
But a typical American 18-year-old does not know what the fuck they want.
Right.
I was lucky.
Nobody really knows what they want at 18, unless you're some Mozart type of talent and you just had the vision early on. But who has that?
And so it would be nice if there was some gap years in there where kids could just go basically fuck around somewhere away from their parents to figure out who they are and figure out what they want to do. Because what happens a lot of times...
Well, we have that in the United States, Perry. It's called prison. See, we put you in. You get,
Or rehab.
Let's on a rehab. So what's your problem there? It's the American way.
Yeah.
You go, you do a little
Private
drugs,
prisons and
you get
private
caught,
rehabs.
you do a couple years in prison, then you come back out.
Yeah,
Or rehab.
it all works out.
It all works out. At the end of the day,
It's kind of shock therapy, and then you
say, hey, you think America's bad? Try prison
you
for a while.
enroll into college and get a business degree, and you're off to the races.
Yeah, deep in debt to live your life until you're waiting for Michael to
Working for an insurance company.
bite the thing and take over the house, aren't you? It's pretty much.
That's exactly what's
pretty much what's happening here. So I have a way out of your morasses. I have a big idea.
Let's hear it, Carl.
Because you're a drummer, right?
I am, yeah.
So I shared this with another drummer friend of mine. I'm waiting for him to make it happen in Dallas. But this is the $1 million idea here. So everybody pay attention. It's a big idea. It really is. So my friend, the drummer, has Edward Henderson. Shout out to Ed. Yeah. Word. Has a bunch of African drums. He goes around, puts them in his car, and he goes to these different schools, whatever. And he also teaches piano. So he's got that on the side, some individual piano teaching lessons and stuff like that, But he has to go travel all over there.
So you're not doing any barista shit to supplement his income?
No, he's managed, managed to put it together.
Okay.
He did a really smart thing. He went and got himself a business coach, which helped him kind of say, hey, get some ideas there. Yeah. But he, of course, didn't come to Carl with the big idea. So here's my big idea. So,
are we giving this free?
I know I should be really charged at this point for this.
Well, just
because you remember the other one, the art one.
Yeah, just give it so far. Yeah, we didn't get any buy-off on that.
We didn't get any buy-off on the art idea, which was another big idea.
Okay, right.
No, I think this is better, actually.
Right.
Okay, so you know how what's my favorite business model, because it really ties into the stupid tax, is the gym business, right?
Yeah.
You go to the gym, you pay anywhere from $15 a month to $99 a month, depending on what kind of gym you're going to. You go there 2 times, and you pay for years. Mm-hmm. And then you realize one day, I need to go to the gym. And you feel guilt.
You're too embarrassed to stop the payment because you feel like you need to be going.
And this is the beauty part of it. And you don't stop the payment, because if you stop the payment to the gym, you would say, I don't really care about my health.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? That's just a way of saying, I don't care about my health. I don't care about me. I don't care if I die early.
That's right.
I'm going to stop this.
And then you'd have to answer to Suzanne or mainly yourself.
Really? So you're going to keep out of guilt.
Yes.
And then you have guilt that you haven't done it. So it's a great, as an ex-Catholic, it's a great guilt creator. It's a business model that actually creates guilt.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do.
The business of creating guilt.
But let me get back to the big idea is music gyms.
Music
Music-nastics?
No, not that it's a gym, but it's the same business model. Take me as an example. I gave you that talking earlier. When I was a kid, I wanted to play piano. My parents were too cheap to go buy not cheap, but we didn't have a lot of money. So they didn't buy the piano,
right.
And so I kind of half-assed the piano thing. But every parent wants their kids to get exposed to music.
Right.
Okay? The music gym lives. So it's not a gym. It's a place you go and you can play music. You have all sorts of instruments. You've got little different classes. You got your drum circle class. You got your things where the parent can go. They don't have to invest in the instruments. Uh-huh. Let little Susie have a little music experience on them, and it's a monthly basis. Okay, so they can go as many times as they want, depending on what do the same gym model, only it's for music. I'm telling you, this is a big idea.
That sounds eerily familiar to a place that I work right now.
Really?
Which shall remain nameless.
Oh, okay.
But they do something like that?
Kind of, yeah. They'll have programs for I remember I ran a summer camp for one of these nameless places for a program that shall also remain nameless.
So is this because they're bad?
Well, it's just...
Try to poke holes in it. What's wrong with this idea?
Yeah. Well, it's like I was running this program that was kids that were from 3 to 6. The 3-year-old and the 6-year-old are completely fucking different in terms of how they've developed. So they don't need to be in the same room.
Right.
But we had this program that we did, and it was me and another guy that had no business, handling children of this age, that had absolutely no experience doing that.
Right.
Anyways, and we were expected to entertain these children with musical instruments of some kind and somehow from the hours of 9 to 12
That sounds a lot
every
like
day.
daycare.
It was absolutely
Well, that is daycare. See, that's...
Yeah.
And I don't... Yeah, I mean, you could have different classes for different age groups.
Right.
But my idea was that they'd come to the music gym, they would learn, see what the kid gravitates to, but there would be opportunities there to play with music. Okay.
Right.
And it'd be everything from from creating the little concert orchestra group to kids, just experimenting and stuff like that. But the idea is that, because I think every parent wants their kids to at least get exposed to the arts, and it'd be an opportunity to do that in a way that would. And in Edward's case, he's got central location now. He doesn't have to run around all over the place to try to. And people can come in. And I said, $99 a month. But if you get 100 people doing that in Dallas, that would be a no-brainer.
Yeah, but for somebody like him who's probably just doing okay, to try and come up with some additional money he could go back to his parents and get them to co-sign a loan.
Well, all the money you would need is you would need.
You're going to have to get a big enough facility where you have people in private enough rooms where
Right. Well, it'd be a combination, depending. It's kind of like boys' club meets gym but do it for music.
Yeah.
I think there's an idea there.
Is to go to a gym and work out. You don't need talent.
Right.
And you don't evidently need that much discipline either.
Right.
But to get good at an instrument, to get beyond.
Well, there's plenty of starving musicians like you I could hire to run the classes.
I don't know. I think a lot of us would probably rather be a barista.
Really?
I'm speaking for myself, but I would rather,
than teach an 11-year-old how to play music?
To be in an environment like that with a lot of kids beating on shit and strumming shit that's out of tune, I would rather do that.
Because it's like a daycare.
So it's
because it would be daycare.
It'd be daycare.
Yeah.
That's the downside of it.
Yeah, I think so. Because the place I work is...
Well, I was thinking you could have you'd have the bronze, silver, gold packages. So some of it would include private lessons and others would include, depending on what model you wanted to go in.
Right.
But it would be I agree. It would be annoying if you're just sitting in a circle and everybody's pounding on stuff.
That's overall for the arts.
Yeah.
I think could actually thrive. But something that was just music. It's easier to get little kids to run around and dance in front of a mirror because they're little kids. And all this kind of stuff. But it would be.
Well, I don't think I would be semi-serious in that it would. What it does is allows from a parent's standpoint, allows the kid. Some kids are just not, going to go to the gym.
Right,
They're more music oriented or something like that. It gives an opportunity to explore. The other thing is, I have another friend who has a studio. He's always trying to get it booked, and I think doing
music studio.
Yeah.
Well, he's in the wrong business currently.
Yeah. So again, perfect place for the music gym.
Well, not really, though, because he's got too much stuff in there. If it's like a legitimate studio, he's got too much stuff that costs a lot of money. You don't want anybody that's not trained around.
No, I agree in the room where they do all the stuff, but he's got a big studio space.
Maybe.
Anyway, I thought it was a good idea, and I love the business model.
Yeah.
And you drop your kid
Business
off
model's
whenever you
good.
want.
I'll agree with that.
That was my idea, for what it's worth. But it's good to get your perspective. Way to shoot it down, Perry.
No problem, Carl.
Somebody else is going to jump on that. Somebody out there in Carl and Mike land has got the vision and is very excited right now about the music gym.
Yeah.
This one goes out to you, Rick.
100 parents at $99.
Yeah.
You're in business.
You see, you're getting the money out of the parents.
And it's a gym. Kids not going to go all the time.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like a regular gym. You're going to buy because you want your kids to be Beethoven, but they're not, but then they don't go. And you still pay out of guilt. So you have the whole guilt factor.
$99 is a great business model for a consumer for a month. But for someone that teaches privately, like my time with my degree in Dallas is worth $50 an hour.
You're driving a cab right now. Your time is worth whatever the market will pay.
Be very careful, Carl. Tread lightly, my man. Tread very lightly.
And that and that's that's a
99. What is 100 times 100?
100 times 100.
Yeah,
$10,000
a month. Okay, paying $1,500 off for the gym. For the space.
Oh, that space is going to
cost
you way more. No, it's going to cost you way more.
You usually spend 5 to 8 on that space.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're going to make it artsy. You're going to make it artsy. You're going to have it in a little warehouse district.
Right.
There.
It be as artsy as it wants to be in a warehouse district. But also think about this: what parent wants to drive their kid to the?
I'm just talking about here in Dallas. It would not be $5,000.
They're not parents, I can tell you as a parent, you're not going to want to drive far.
No, I agree.
And the
We're
people
talking
that can-
Plano, Texas
Okay.
here.
And so you're talking.
Do you know
about,
how many wealthy parents there are in
That's
Plano,
right.
Texas?
And
That's why we
and-
charge them $200 a
And
month.
and the people that own
Yeah,
the
we're going the gym model. They're paying that.
and the people that
regardless.
own the commercial space.
I'm telling you, I could get you a place for $2,500. I just went to that little boxing thing. It was in the end of a strip mall.
Yeah.
He has this little boxing place of hell and torture,
Yeah.
and that was just a little end of a strip mall. It's not going to cost you $2,500.
How many finished walls do you have on the inside?
Not very many.
That's right.
You got to have finished insulated walls to
You
make
got
the
to have
music thing
finished
work.
insulated wall to make any of the music.
All right, so
stuff.
let's say-
are you going to have a circle of people
Otherwise, you're
playing
gonna have some
guitar over
postal
here,
workers.
and a circle of people over here playing drums, and a circle of people over here banging on pianos.
Yeah.
And when I say banging, I mean banging. And so you've got to have.
Okay, let's go 5. Let's say it was 5. At 100 customers, you're at break even. Do you know how many customers a gym has?
Well,
A regular gym?
Probably hundreds.
Yeah.
okay. Well, let's see. So it's how much is it a month?
10,000. So you're making
Okay.
10 grand on 100 people.
Five is going.
Let's say
over-
5's out the door.
Okay.
I'm going to be generous, but
Okay,
we'll say
you've got 5 at the door. Okay, but you want to make some money out of it. Wouldn't you like to make 5? That's only 60 a year right there.
That's right, but you only got
that's
100
only
people.
for the guy that owns it. But then you got to hire people to take care of the little urchins. So all of a sudden now you're
You
paying
see,
them
you're
$1,000.
thinking too much daycare, and I'm thinking more music.
I'm
music.
thinking.
Well,
I'm
what it
thinking
is.
Thinking more
fame.
music.
I'm thinking Juilliard without the Juilliard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about,
You're
but
thinking
there's
Juilliard without the Julie, thus just the yard.
just the yard.
I
But
want that
something more than you
Mercedes, but
see.
I don't wanna
On one
pay that
level, on
Mercedes
the
price.
one side is daycare for kids with music instruments, so they make noise and
You
bother
need to
the
continue-
neighbors. On the other end is Juilliard. I'm thinking somewhere more in the middle.
Yeah, I'm not sure that there is a whole lot in the middle. I think
Oh,
you
there
need to
is,
stick with
because
the daycare.
every parent wants their kids to be exposed to music.
Not as much as they want their kids to be exposed to soccer.
Well, I agree, but not every kid is going to like soccer. I guarantee that.
I quit.
yeah.
No, he-
everything.
He was
by
a
the time I
very
was 8.
unsportslike.
Really?
He was playing baseball. We were
I'm
playing.
great at quitting.
He was
sports, Carl.
fly-
Let me
we were-
tell
Did you?
what.
We
I
were-
quit soccer by the time I was 5.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
quit baseball the first time. I think I was 7. Never got into football because I thought, why?
No, did you feel pushed by your parents to partake?
Shit, no.
No? You said.
No, because at that point,
So
I was
you let
like-
them
I was-
try it out, or you didn't like it, quit, right?
At that point, I was in my Army phase,
Right.
and
The Army phase?
oh man,
Jeez.
You wanted to be an Army
what
man?
happened is I saw The Longest Day. I think over Thanksgiving one year.
It's not the prison
with my
movie?
friend Martin.
No, that's the
No, yeah.
oh the
That's
military
the Dirty
movie.
Dozen.
Yes.
That's a great fucking movie.
Yes.
That
All right,
was
it
another
is.
one that hooked me. But The Longest Day hooked me, and I just thought, man, this is the coolest thing ever. All these guys, just a bunch of guys hanging out, blowing shit up. Like, who doesn't want to do that? You don't put it together.
Pretty
at
much,
that point
I'm
that you're-
liking that right now.
Yeah, that
you don't grow
that you're
out of
blowing
that.
each other up. You
Yeah.
don't really think about that. But I mean,
good.
at the time, I had mom and dad convinced that it was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, by the time I'm 17, I'm getting my GED, and y'all are gonna sign me over to the Marines.
You must have been going, what have I done?
And I was
Man,
solid
you
in
know
that
that.
from like 7 to probably 12. But then 11, I started playing drums, and then once that took over, that was it. And they thought it was just gonna be another like Lego erector set phase, and then
Right.
cut 16, 17 years later, I'm actually still doing it. And thanks for pointing out, Carl. Semi-professional.
I didn't say semi. I just said I'm not going to do that. I'm saying for $10,000 a month, you might consider that.
No, the
Actually, you see, you missed your calling there because the military, really, for your generation, is the best way to go.
Oh, I
have
know.
my nephew Brandon went into the military, did that for a couple of years. Now he's going to. At some point, I guess you can switch out and do.
what's he doing now?
He's moving this weekend to Minnesota. He's going to go back to college. He wants to do sports management or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But he's serving in the National Guard type of thing.
Yeah.
And he does that for the next couple of years. But I mean, he had all the money
that's the way
money he was making in the military the first couple of years. He wasn't having any expenses. He was on a base or whatever like that. I mean, it was
shot
really
at or anything.
no.
Well, see, that's where he was lucky.
Yeah.
See, my generation military at this point in time works out because the chance of deploying anywhere,
Yeah,
unless
wait,
things really get
you've
riled
been
up.
replaced by a drone and a
Yeah.
couple of
Yeah,
good
yeah.
buttons. Yeah.
But I mean, a really close friend of mine that used to play Army with me all the time in the front yard. He joined when we were 19,
All right.
and
Went
a
to
year
Iraq?
later he was in Baghdad. Yeah,
Yeah.
And I only recently found out that he saw a lot more than he initially led me to believe, which I guess I should have assumed anyways.
Yeah.
But, in retrospect, I honestly, if I would have joined the military instead of going to Berkeley, I could have come out after 4 years. I was certainly good enough to be in like the Army band. Which means I probably would have been stationed in like D.C. or like down around San Diego or something like that. That was a Marine band, I guess.
Yeah.
But I do something like that.
Doing gigs for Mitch McConnell. You could have been that could have been your life, Terry.
Yeah. I could have been playing, Cheney's, wedding anniversary or some shit like that.
There's that depressing thought.
But I could have come out with that. Like my buddy Steven, he came out of the military. Granted, he was in for 8 years.
Right.
And he went to Iraq for one very long tour, and then he came back, and then he was stationed in Brussels for another sweet job that paid him more. Yeah. But see now,
I think society is the way it's set up. Military is almost a really smart way to go from a cost standpoint.
Yeah,
just looking at it from a cost standpoint.
He gets out now. Yeah, exactly. Right. He gets out now, and because of the GI Bill, he'll get out with a great degree from the school he's going to now in Colorado, and he'll have no debt.
Yeah. Brandon's in great shape, and
I could go back in time, Carl.
Yes, well.
The military time machine, folks. This episode brought to you by the military.
That's the military industrial complex. And
but
that's how it's working right now.
It could be that he came out and he has a great degree and everything, or he could be a drooler in our back room.
It's a shot. It's a career. It could go either way. It's a crapshoot. You could have a great career and be financially out of debt and just missing one limb.
Yeah.
So, and what's an arm worth? Well, to a drummer, probably quite a bit. Unfortunately,
Jeff Leppard's doing pretty good though. He's still playing the big rooms.
Yeah, he's got one arm.
Uh-huh. He's a one-arm drummer.
He's a one-arm drummer. Yeah, for real.
I didn't know that.
And I've seen it, and it's very impressive what he does.
Does he?
Yeah, it's pretty badass.
He doesn't have a fake limb or anything.
No, he doesn't have a little thing there.
Just one arm.
So does he set the drums up differently than a two-armed drummer?
No. He has like some other stuff triggered with his feet, but he's figured out how to do it, and it doesn't sound like there's nothing missing.
Was he born with one arm? So
I feel like he lost it.
Yeah.
He's the Django Reinhardt of drummers.
There you go.
Well, Django was missing. He could only use 2 fingers on the neck of the guitar. He wasn't missing anything.
Oh, what was he like sewn together? Or something?
No, it was just
webs.
It was some sort of deal. He only played with 2 fingers.
Oh.
Yeah, well,
nobody noticed that.
No, they really didn't.
Yeah.
So tough out there for your generation, I think, than everybody else.
I think so. Yeah, because the burden of debt. You only figure that out when you're. That's another thing you can't teach an 18-year-old.
Yeah,
unless their mom and dad kicked them out when they were 16 and they were living on the streets and they had to pay for their own motel weekly.
Did you have credit card when you were a kid?
No, never.
Fuck no. Are you kidding?
I never got a credit card when I moved to Los Angeles because I didn't qualify one because I defaulted on my student loan payments.
So how quick does it take to default?
Oh my God, 90 days.
90 days after school, boom. If you're not paying,
yeah.
You're in trouble.
I only defaulted. I was doing really good paying them. And, they're so generous, Carl, in the kind of leniency they give you they give you like 6 months where you basically don't pay anything. You try to get your life together. And, fucking 6 months. I've been trying to get my life together since I was 22, so that's 6 years. Federal loans are a joke, man. Federal loans are awesome. I wish I had more of those. But see, I was caught in this gray area. There's like, if you're really poor, you basically live in a completely socialized America. Right?
Right.
You qualify for, Medicaid and all this kind of stuff. And depending on the state, it's better or worse. If you're in Massachusetts, it's really fantastic. If you're in California, it's great. In Texas, not so much great.
All right.
But, and if you're really broke and you come from broke family, like you get FAFSA, they will pay for your school. They would have paid for me to go to Berkeley if mom and dad were like really broke. Mm-hmm. But at the time, dad was doing well. And so the government
at the time is the key prepositional phrase.
No, it's key. I mean,
but living at their means.
Yes.
And so
way beyond the.
They were making money, but they were spending a lot of money, so there wasn't a lot of money there for like college saved at the time. And I think
that's a whole other level of money.
Well,
in college already.
So I had at one time I had 3 either in college at the same time or
you got to be wealthy
and
to put 3 kids through college.
And so when you got that, they're looking at it and they're going, well, we can help you with federal loans. Okay, FAFSA, whatever. I mean, different kinds of FAFSA.
Well, there's the federal thing. There's like through FAFSA, there was grants where they just give you the money, right? And then there's loans. Now, federal loans. The federal loans were awesome because they're the ones that Obama recently You know,
Fixed,
all the people I know that are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, like, oh my God, Obama just did this thing for student loans. Isn't that amazing? And I'm like, yeah, if I fucking had federal student loans, but I don't. They're all private.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Why didn't you go for federal loans?
I didn't qualify for them because they made too
Oh,
much
you
money.
have to
We're
make.
making too much money at the
They
time.
made
So
too
you
much
can't
money.
even get a federal loan if you wanted to. Really?
You know,
I would
no,
love to be able to get them to just like consolidate all my private debt with federal debt. With
That might be a way
federal
out
loan,
of that.
But I can't do that.
No,
Right.
they won't do that.
No, because
No, because
And
they
if it was-
they know it's a deal.
Yeah.
They know it's locked in. They know they're going to get.
see,
paid. They
I
don't
don't.
care.
I don't think all my loans in college were federal.
Yeah.
I didn't have.
Well,
I don't think I qualified.
That was back.
Maybe
in
I
the
did
old
because
days.
my
That was
father
back
had just
in the old
died.
days before the federal government
Yeah,
said we'll
private
make sure
loans
that
are-
you get paid.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's therein lies the rub. And all of this happened so fast
It happened within
that
a period of like 4 years.
It caught parents in the trap too.
Right.
Okay. And the other part of the deal was, you know, unfortunately for them, and fortunately for us, we grew up in a very rich time. You know, I mean, we grew up
Consider.
yeah, way better than our parents, and we just thought that was going to continue to go on, and that's the way the kids lived, and that's what they saw and what they expected, and it turns out that it's going to be different.
Like I think for my generation, a lot of us will probably never be homeowners.
Yeah.
And that's
I don't want to be too grim, but I think that's honestly a reality because
Not as many
we got to.
anymore,
I mean,
no.
think about this. I'm going to be paying off this debt until I'm in my 40s.
Right. But here's a couple things you're not thinking of. Number one, let's say you get married, so you're gonna have another person. So now you're gonna have two incomes. Hopefully, they're not
Maybe
in debt.
2 things of debt.
Yeah, there
It
may
could be.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
possible. I guess. I don't know. I remember being 20. To give you not to give hope, but I remember being 27. And
no hope. This
No
is
hope.
no hope.
I don't
We
want to give you any hope.
No, we don't give you
But-
hope.
Like,
We don't send you back half the West Coast with any hope at all.
Yeah, I was 27, and I got married at 27. We paid for our own wedding. It cost like about $3,000, which is a lot of money, but we did it ourselves. And we didn't have a house, and struggled until really the 30s. The 20s were a period of struggle for me, anyway.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't grow up.
20s are-
Well, you know the thing.
Unless you grow up rich, I think the 20s are typically like when you're even married or not. That's when you're like kind of figuring shit out. And I figure
Right.
out for most men, generally speaking, the 30s is when you
Yeah.
figured out. Okay, this is how I could like make a buck, and this is how I can thrive. And
Right, 30s, you've got to figure it out, and you go into another gear.
we were supposed to figure it out in our 30s.
Well,
Yeah, damn it.
still working on.
I'm
that.
talking about, and then 40s probably is your wealthiest
Yeah.
income years. And then like Michael and I, it turns 50s, and it's just the slow descent.
Heart rate.
Unless you do what I do and get residual income.
Yeah.
But so you're only 28, so don't think like you got a lot of time to figure it out.
I mean, I'm also involved in an industry that's an uphill battle. Even in
Yes,
the best
yes.
of times, it was
You're just
always
trying to
an
do the
uphill
And
battle.
musician.
it's constantly changing. I mean, look with Napster and Spotify and everything. It's
Right.
just
Yeah, I don't even know
different.
how you make money in music
it's not
anymore.
the same industry.
Well, I guess
Everybody's still
touring.
trying to figure out what it is. Huh?
It's kind of like touring. You're kind of like stand-up comedy.
Either you live a
Stand-up
life
comedian.
on the road,
Yeah.
or you have rights to a song that's a hit.
Yeah.
My $1 million plan
Yeah.
is I'm going to write a Christmas song that gets me is it perennial, right?
Yeah.
Perennial income, right? Season.
Royalty income.
Royalties,
Yeah, royalty income. So every year, like if I would have written Frosty the fucking Snowman,
Right.
I'd be getting probably another $250,000 dropped in my account after each.
It's called residual income. Yes.
Yeah.
You need to do the song.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So what's your plan right now? So you're doing several things to piece things together. What?
Do you want to hear what my day-to-day life is, Carl?
No, I don't. I don't want to hear. What I want to hear is what's the vision? What's the dream? What if it was the way you wanted it? What would you be? What
the
would it
dream
look
for
like?
me,
What does it look like?
Would be that I would be a very busy session musician, working in the studio, so I could basically live in one place in
Right.
Los Angeles,
Right.
and I'd be working and getting a day rate that could basically provide me and the family that at some point I'd love to have
Right.
would be able to provide for all of us,
Right.
and get a house, well maybe get a house, and all this kind of stuff.
You live in L.A. Probably not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's, I mean, shit,
Yeah.
man.
So
Even
let me
in the
ask you a
hood,
couple
homes are-
tough questions.
You live in
All right,
Palmdale.
ready for the tough question? So you've had enough time to judge yourself against the marketplace. You feel talent-wise you've got that covered.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so
Not worried about
then it's a networking thing.
It's networking,
really
and
is.
it's time, and it's
meeting people and building that network up. Really.
A little bit is having some money to buy some stuff like that I need, because for what I do specifically, you got to have a big fucking toolbox, basically. You know what I mean? Because it's like when you finally get yourself in the room, you don't want to be like, hey, do you have that thing that does this? And you're like, fuck, I don't have that.
Okay.
You know, so you want to.
So what's in a drummer's toolbox besides the drums?
Oh, a lot of
couple
different percussion, bells, shakers, whistles. You know, different kits, cymbals, snare drum. You know, just a bunch of shit. Right. And
Do you need me to give you some money to buy this stuff?
I think you already have quite a bit.
Well, I'll talk to your mother. We'll see what she says.
Yeah. Mother, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
But sing for your supper, literally.
But
all right, so you're in the process of doing that, right?
Yeah, it takes time.
It just takes time and networking. Really, the networking is the key.
Take me. I've only been in LA for 2 years. It could easily take me another 5 to 10 to get going. What I really want to have going, and even if that would be me really like making it quick. But you know, we'll see. I think when it comes in, you know, it'll be really good. But it's just the thing is with the music, and I think working anything in the arts, but specifically music. You know, because you don't go. Like I remember Dad used to always be like, "Why don't you just go knock on the door? Just be like, hey, I need a job." You know, because if you wanted a job at Starbucks or McDonald's or wherever, GSD&M, you'd be like, "I'm really good. Hire me. Here's my resume. Hire me." And eventually they'd be like, "Jesus, this kid, fucking hire him. Give him a job. You know, swap him poop mix or something." But that doesn't work with music,
right?
Or anywhere in the entertainment industry, an air of desperation is the quickest way to an early grave. Yeah. In anywhere in the entertainment world.
So what about like embracing social media and becoming kind of branding yourself a little bit? What if you became?
I mean, I'm involved in every aspect of social media but Facebook.
Are you?
Yeah, and I mean, I have been because I've been with that stuff since all of it began.
So here's $1 million idea number 2. Because you kind of poo-pooed on number 1, which somebody out there is going to take it and run with it.
Okay, good.
And then they're going to come back and say, "Hey, thanks, Carl."
They do take it and run with it as long as they send us 5% of what they make.
Well, that's all we're asking.
Yeah,
5% idea fee.
Okay.
Because we're thought leadership here, Carrie.
Generous.
Okay. That's us. All right. So here's the idea. Because this is something I'm learning in the podcast world, and we've only been in it 3 months. So we're picking stuff up left and right here. You have a podcast. We have the ability, and we haven't done it yet, but with threesomes, we will. You have the ability to really get interviews with people.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Totally.
Okay? So you start a podcast about drumming, the drummer's life. Okay? Yeah. You can do that in podcasting. You get very narrow. Okay? And what you do is you call up and you talk to the Mick Fleetwoods, the big drummers, all types of different drummers in the community, and you talk about drumming. Okay?
Yeah.
Why is that a good idea? I don't care if this podcast lasts for 6 months. You're going to go through the podcast. You're going to make your networking connections with musicians that you never would have had a chance to get to.
Right.
You do some interviews with them, and boom, next thing you know, you're playing, at the Staples Center with
Sting.
Now here's
Sting. Exactly.
Not to poo-poo on it.
You're going to poo-poo on this idea? All right, go ahead.
First off, there already is a really great drumming podcast called I'd Hit That.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dave. I'd Hit That podcast.
I did that?
I hit that. I like that name.
Yeah.
You have to give him that.
That's great.
Don't worry about the fact that there's competition.
But the problem is, and I've always been told, I was told this when I moved to LA, that was someone that was really in the know. And other people, drummers have a tendency to want to hang out with other drummers because drummers, in terms of their personality, we all get along. Mm-hmm. It's weird. Guitar players overwhelmingly, they need tension. That sometimes they're divas or pretty boys and they don't like to share their secrets and shit. But drummers are whatever. We're always the help.
Right.
And the help always gets along because we're all the help. And so drummers are it's fine. It's whatever.
Right.
But the help doesn't hire other help.
Right.
They can introduce you to the person that hires you, but overwhelmingly, you have to, someone told me, it's dude, I know the tendency, you want to hang out with a bunch of drummers, I get that. Go hang out with bass players, piano players, singers, everybody else.
Maybe you slightly change the podcast to be a music-oriented podcast.
Right.
And you don't have to keep it towards drummers. What I'm saying to you is the podcast as a vehicle can open doors for you.
No, absolutely. Well, the thing that you wanted that I would caution against this, and this was the best piece of advice that I ever got when I first moved to LA. Everything in that town is based on first impressions. Meaning, because I wanted to get a job, I thought like, okay, well, I want to work in studios. Why don't I get a job hauling this guy's drums from this warehouse in Glendale to the studios in Hollywood and Burbank and wherever, right?
Right.
It's like, oh, that seems great. I'll be in the room. I'll be in a position to meet the people that hire him. But really, what happens is you get known as the guy that's hauling the shit and not as the guy that's coming in and playing. And this guy told me, he said, you know what, man? Honestly, you'd be better off just coming and like tagging behind me. And then when we're in the room with these producers and stuff, I'm just like, oh, this is my friend Perry. He plays drums.
Right.
Rather than like, oh, this is Perry. He works for such and such cartage company. And it's like, oh, Perry, the cartage guy. Forever in that guy's mind and everybody else in the room that hears it, I'm Perry, the cartage guy. So that impression, it's like a really unfortunate part of that world, but it is very true where that impression is lasting, that first impression. So you have to be, like this guy told me, he's just like, be really careful with how you want to be perceived by others.
Right.
So there's things that
are you saying if you were a podcaster, you'd be positioned as
you'd be known as the podcasting guy.
Depends on how you do the podcast, I would say.
If
you're
I
going
was
out
already
from musicians podcast as opposed to a fan of music's
right.
podcast.
No, yeah, totally. I see where you're coming from.
I'm just saying podcasting can be a vehicle.
It would be better
to speed up the networking process.
It would be better for me to do that, I think, in terms of perception, to do that after I already got some sort of like, oh, yeah, you see Perry, he played with such and such on Conan, or such and such. It's like, oh, yeah, he can hang. He's one of us.
Right.
And he does his podcast thing. Not like, oh, there's this guy, he's really cool, he does his podcast thing. He's a drummer too, but he does his podcast thing. It's kind of a different world. I agree.
I agree. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
The thing about it that's interesting and odd altogether, because we've had conversations like this over and over again, is that it's really there is no career path. You know, as a designer, I had a career path. As a writer, you had a career path.
Yeah.
And as a lawyer, business guy, whatever, there's career paths where you can take jobs. You say, okay, this is where I want to be. You can take various kinds of jobs that'll ultimately lead you to where that is. And it is different because we've got portfolios we can show. He's got a portfolio too, but there seems to be more of a connection kind of a thing. And that's where, you know, it's like bitching about going to Berkeley and that kind of stuff. There's still connections that were made there. Right now, it's a money thing because I got the big loan hanging over my head. He's saying, you know, which I understand. I get it. We've had loans too, but it's still the connections that were made at those schools.
Oh yeah, no, those are great.
Have been phenomenal.
I think the other thing that I didn't.
It's a lot of it has to do with that.
I agree. The connections are the thing, and the thing I didn't realize in my 20s was, it's like when you get into your 30s, the people that you were friends with in your 20s, all of a sudden, some of them are in positions of, I want to say power, but positions to make things happen.
Absolutely.
Right? Where all your friends in the beginning are all kind of like you and they're just kind of slumming it along. Right. And that's where those connections start to happen.
I'm starting to see that. And what's interesting is like, and I recognize this especially in music, but I assume it kind of happens anywhere, especially like as a writer or designer. It's like everybody, if everyone's coming in, and I notice this from my Berkeley friends in LA, if everybody's starting from the bottom, when anybody starts to get up a little bit higher, they want their friends to come with them. So if you're part of this group, everybody rises, generally speaking, up at the same level. Some obviously maybe higher than others and at different times, but generally it's like if you've been slumming it too, and you're finally in a position, it's like, okay, you were a barista with this other guy and y'all were musician buds, you went to college, and finally you get hired on this gig to go on tour, you're going to be like, fuck, man, I ought to get, Danny or whoever to come with me because I know he would really appreciate it and he wouldn't have to be a barista anymore. And I know
he's good.
See, the thing that's interesting about that concept is from a designs concept. I know it was the same thing coming here and you start your own business. You get to where you know other designers who have their own businesses and are working for other people. And then all of a sudden everybody starts to have their own businesses and those businesses become the main ones in town. And some of them wind up doing better than others for various reasons. But the difference is we don't try and help each other because there's that certain level of competition within the design offices.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know if copywriting is the same. Probably. If there are a bunch of copywriting shops, you're going to maybe know each other, but you're not going to say, hey, why don't you go get this work from
maybe
this
if you're
person or that
booked and you
Yeah, there could be
That
some of
way.
that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and there's a little of that going on with the design business. But
The difference with, I think, the music world is it's not like firms, competing for kind of a finite amount of business. Like, generally speaking, with music, there is actually no business.
Yeah.
And we're learning that currently. So it's kind of like you just want to see your friends do well. So if your band was going on tour and you knew you were making X amount a night and you would be able to promise the band that opened for you X, and you had some friends that want to do it, you're like, dude, it's not going to be a lot of money for you to come out with us. But we're all going to get to hang out, and it's going to be really good because we're playing in front of rooms that are 1,500 people a night.
All right.
It's like, dude, come with us. It'll be great. You can make all your expenses, make a little bit of money. You'll be able to sell a shitload of T-shirts because we got 1,500 people sold out every night. So
Right.
it's kind of like everybody likes to help each other because they want to see. There's
T-shirts. Is that where the money is?
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, yeah, no, merch is like where all the money is. You guys
Wow.
might want to consider T-shirts,
Carl Mike T-shirts.
bumper stickers.
Yeah.
I think the
Merchandise is where it's at?
Is it mocking ignorance? Wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that on a T-shirt would be great.
Oh, I like that.
yeah,
But that's my $1 million idea.
Thank you very much.
Take it if you'd like. But
Mocking ignorance, wherever you find it.
But I think maybe competition, like the Beatles and the Stones, were notoriously. They were friendly, but they were competitive. They're like,
Yes.
we wanted to see how many number hits we could get in a year, but they were also in communication in the mid '60s,
Right.
where like Lennon would call up Keith Richards and say, hey man, we don't have anything, but the number one, we don't have anything for the 6 weeks. Why don't you guys, if you got something in the can, plug it in now. You're going to be number one.
I was actually surprised how many songs. I saw something online or something and showed it was a YouTube thing or something, and it showed all the songs that Lennon and McCartney wrote for other people. They did either they gave it away or they sold it. I don't know what the deal was, but they did a ton of writing in that early six. Their body of work in a short period of time was fairly prolific. But when you look at all the songs they wrote, even though they weren't necessarily their great hits, some of them were all right. I mean, they did a lot of writing.
I think about
Which
Dylan.
brings me to my Dylan.
All the stuff that he wrote that he
Right.
never played on, but that were enormous hits for artists ranging from like the gospel world to country to rock and roll to psychedelic rock
Right.
to whatever.
Right. Which brings me to my third $1 million idea.
Oh,
Now, this one isn't a business model. This is just a way of being,
an essence.
an essence, if you will. And it's two words, Perry. Giver's gain. Giver's gain. You give first. Be the first to give in a relationship. That from a networking standpoint. So be a giver first. And as a giver's gain,
I like that.
you get a ton coming back to you. But you because you start the energy, you start the putting it out there.
Yeah.
So look for ways that you can give.
it sounds a lot like karma.
Well, yeah, you could call it karma. I like to call it Giver's
call
Gain.
it karma.
It's a Carl Mark trademark name. Giver's Gain. GG trademark.
Marketplace karma.
Marketplace. You're the copywriter.
There you go.
We can't get karma. We probably can't.
No,
get
karma's gone.
Karma's
Well,
gone.
maybe in an ice cream.
Giver's
do that.
gain. I like.
Giver's gain.
Giver's Gain.
I like Giver's gain.
Yeah, the GG. GG.
I'll take that one. I'll take that $1 million
All right,
idea.
finally.
I'll
The
take that
gym,
$1 million essence.
using the gym model, which I still say it works.
All right. I like
Giver's gain.
That's good.
Okay.
So that's a great way. And here's the other thing I've noticed, and I do think it's a problem in our society. I've met 2 billionaires in my life. The thing that stuck out for me for both of them, were how network oriented they were.
Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, it was
Right.
amazing to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember one of the guys I admired a painting, and he right away offered to put me in touch with the artist and make this connection happen. And I was just admiring the painting,
Yeah.
which I couldn't afford anyway because I was working in advertising.
Yeah.
But he didn't, he
can't
was
afford work. You
president
can't
of Century
afford
21, and he was
Yeah.
very wealthy. But I mean, it was that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
There's a networking mentality, and I don't think that I don't think
No, I
it's,
think
it's
that's- I
not
think
taught,
that's
and it's
absolutely
not.
true.
It's a people skills,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and people are not taught enough about people skills.
no,
Giver's
no.
gain would be a people skill.
Yeah. No, it definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so networking is
Well, that kind of skill
Huge.
is really universal. It really doesn't matter what you do. Whether
exactly.
you're a musician or
Yeah.
you're selling jet
Yeah.
planes. It all has to do with. But
I did the Giver's Gain in copyright when I got to Tracy Locke.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was working Pepsi, which was a big account, but it was little. I was doing Kansas Jayhawk Pepsi promotions. was dark days,
Dark
Michael.
days, man. Ooh.
You had to figure out Pepsi and the Kansas Jayhawks together and figure out an idea for that.
And do it by noon.
Yeah. So what I did, my giver's gain was, the creative directors, of course, they had Dallas Morning News and they had the bigger accounts. But in the Dallas Morning News world, there were little jobs, and I offered to help them out. I offered to let me do that for you. So I gave of my time. I already, I could have stayed. I'm in the box. I'm going to do what I'm told in here. Yeah. But instead, I said, "Hey, how can I help you out?" Yeah. Okay. And I got a couple of crappy little Dallas Morning News local radio jobs. Yeah. But they were, was a big help to them because it took it off their plate. Right. And that got me out of this big box of Pepsi and got me into other accounts when it came time for that.
Yeah. So you help them polish their turds.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm saying from a giver's gain standpoint. Mm-hmm. And I didn't consciously. I mean, I didn't think about it strategically as well as I could have because I was 24.
No, but I think that's good. I think what you did was good.
Right, it did. It turned out opening a lot of doors. Yeah. Is this like a family thing?
What?
He's got to go to the restroom. We got to pause it.